Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? We are going to be doing. I have. Okay. I have tonight, we're going to do amusement park, and if anybody's up to it, we're also going to check into the Yellowstone eruption. So that's how I'm going to give everybody. I'm going to give about 5 minutes so everybody can get in, and we'll get started. I have Wishbowl muted because she's not at her PC at the moment. So, let's see what happens. So, we're gonna. I hope everybody's been having a good day today and staying cool because I know it's hot as hell. Excuse me. Okay, now give it a little bit here, and then we're going to start. We're going to go in and look at that. So we're going to push forward. If I keep on freezing, I'll be back, and I'll get back up. Ugh. But I had link out there because this one's going to be Knobles that we're going to check out. Oh, were you? Well, this happened about like 3 days ago, PD. PD, did you want to come up? And I hope you're doing good tonight, PD. You forgot to turn off the heat there? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. Well, just let me know and I'll throw the link out for you, hon. Get this up here so that way it's up. And there's Wishful.
Hey guys, hey everybody. Hello, hey Patriot.
Maybe PD. PD said he forgot to turn off the heat over there in Yellowstone. That's why it erupted.
Okay, well you need to stop messing with the heat, please, because it's fucking up everybody right now. It's like jacking us all up. Somehow it's jacking us all up.
Okay, go over this side, make this bigger. I do have the link out, so we're good on that. And I have the thing down below. And of course, we're going to be talking during it, so.
Oh, that's AJ.
I just
Right?
gotta.
Yeah,
I think so.
AJ.
I'm not in that screen right at the moment. I'm trying to have the volume set to a certain thing.
Hello?
Hey, hey.
Hey.
Okay.
I know we're live, but I want to call a meeting tomorrow. Everybody got to be there.
Okay.
I came up with some plans that could help us with the channel.
Okay.
You know I'm always thinking.
Yeah, well, trust me, my brain's been going crazy.
Yeah, well, I already talked some of it over with Anna. Anna's going to be helping me.
Okay. Okay, well, we're gonna do Knobles tonight, and then if everybody wants to, we'll jump over and look at the Yellowstone.
By the
right.
way,
I'm here.
Chaos. Chaos, thank you very much for the belated birthday wish. I thank you very much. And to all those who gave me the belated birthday wishes, thank you very much. It was very cool. So thank you. And thank you for the birthday yesterday. It was really cool.
You're welcome.
What kind of roller coaster is that? Hold up.
Damn, I forgot what
This
I was.
is over in Knobles. This is over in Knobles. It's one of the only parks that in Pennsylvania where you can get in for free and just pay as you ride. And it's all the way, and it's all the way up, and it's all the way up in the mountains in Galesburg. And as you see the swimming pool right there, that swimming pool gets its water from the stream, the spring. So that's all spring water.
Okay, that's actually cool. The only, like I said, I used to live in New York, and I remember going to Coney Island. That was really cool. I've been to Coney Island. Now that I've been to the site on the Cyclone, and I've been to a place up in Upper Philadelphia, New York called Rye Playland.
Yep.
If anybody ever seen the movie Big, they actually filmed most of the scenes up there in Rye Playland. That's where I've been to. And they have this coaster there called the Dragon Coaster. Yo, you will not be sorry. It's fun. It's awesome.
Oh, Petey, you're still young in heart.
Yeah, man. We just got to turn down the heat just a little bit. Just a little bit. All right. 125 and 115 and 105. That's a little too hot for me.
Yep, me too. Yeah.
But you walking around and your skin feel like it's peeling off of you. Yeah, that's too hot.
Right. Okay, here we go, guys. I do have it turned down so we can talk. So that way we can hear it, but we can also talk.
Do you have the music on?
Hang on. I'll put on the.
Put the
I just
music.
gotta find it.
Copyright thing. Yep. Put music behind it and copyright. Therefore, you are set.
We had the copyright up already.
Now just put music behind it. Yes, the one I known as QB, thank you very much for the heads up and how to learn how to do this. That's how I learned it. Thank you very much.
All right, is that too loud or is that good?
That should be good.
All right. Everybody ready in the chat? All right, here we go, guys.
The Pennsylvania stands one of the most interesting parks we've ever been to. A unique blend of a theme park, a museum, a sideshow alley, a rural village. You can think of a ride type, it's probably a Knobles. Don't let this convince you, though, that Knobles is merely a jack of all trades. Because hidden within this park are some of the best and most unique attractions. Playing weird.
Hold
With
on.
over 55 attractions, this family.
Yes. Hannah.
Yeah. I was talking to you. I was talking to the cat.
Hold on, man. Hold on.
She wasn't talking to you. She was talking to the cat. The cat's being a pest.
Anna, do you want me to add your stream in? Hey, because you're here, hon.
You're good, because I won't be on too long. I'm just getting a cat clawed.
Okay, here we go. I'm just gonna end up keeping because I don't know how to turn this down any lower. I gotta see if I can find a lower one. Okay, I think that one. Here we go.
Is America's largest free admission amusement park, opening almost a century ago
That's the
back
first
in
one to be going.
1926.
Go in there.
And yep, you heard that right, free admission. So without a ticket check,
You're on
discover
that
what
train.
makes Knoebels one of the most unique, different, and refreshing theme parks we've ever been to.
This park's been around for years, just as long as Hershey
Wow.
Park. What the heck happened? Oh, commercial. There we go.
Thrill rides, 7 out of 10. For a park that by Australian standards is in the middle of nowhere, Knoebels has a surprisingly strong thrill lineup with several iconic
Oh,
roller
great.
coasters and a multitude of flat rides. From the footage you've seen so
Welcome
far,
back, Holly.
you can likely make out that Knoebels has a rather rustic style, which of course means that the park
That
has
roller
several
coaster
wooden
there is one
roller
of the biggest
coasters,
ones.
with one of them possibly being the best in the world. But we'll get onto that in a second. Because firstly, let's touch on the roller coaster that put this park on the map for us in the first place. A one-of-a-kind wooden roller coaster that is a throwback to a time gone by.
And that is
Flying
fun.
Turns. Modeled after a similar design from the 1920s, Flying Turns were an early type of bobsled coaster made entirely of wood that existed originally throughout the 1900s, but were all defunct by the 1970s. Despite this, Knoebels staff were committed to
The thing that they gotta remember is, okay, the Flying Turns, that is the wooden roller coaster that was built back then. Now they have updated it, and they repaired some stuff that needed repaired and all that, but that is fun. But this is how long this place has been open. Opened before the 1920s.
to bringing back the design and built the coaster pretty much completely from scratch. It's an incredible feat to see
Wishful
operational
lifetime.
attraction that I feel could only exist somewhere like Knoebels. As mentioned before, the feeling of the attraction is very similar to modern-day bobsled coasters such as Reptilian or King's Dominion. But the train tends to glide around on the track in a less predictable manner, which leads to an interesting feeling of happiness. Best roller coaster in the world coming to Knoebels purely for this ride.
They were
Our
roller
history,
coasters.
though,
When you were coasters. And Beans is a good
we've
one.
ever been on. Not knowing much about the park, we really didn't expect anything from this coaster going in.
I had fun.
Not that big of a ride, and when you take your seat, you're only held in by you. This lulls you into a false sense of security, as what we expected next was an unrelenting airtime machine. Hauling around the track, your bum barely touches the seat, as it genuinely feels like you're about to be thrown out of the train. At points, we were genuinely standing up in our seats. And frankly, we couldn't get enough of it, riding it countless times thanks to its short wait time. It's no surprise that Phoenix is
And that ride there is a 25-minute ride. Lines might, the lines might be a little bit long, but I'll tell you what, getting on there and riding, it's like 25 minutes, but it's fun.
widely regarded as the best wooden roller coaster in the world. The final wooden coaster in the park is Twister. Unfortunately, experiencing Phoenix first put this ride at a severe disadvantage, as whilst it's a brilliant wooden roller coaster, it pales in comparison to Phoenix, but it is still worth a ride. Towards the park's entrance is Impulse, Knoebel's big steel roller coaster, a relatively new addition to the park that doesn't quite live up to the uniqueness of the wooden offerings available throughout Knoebel's.
Now I can tell you with this roller coaster, if you have any kind of back injuries or anything like that, you do not want to ride this one. This one will bounce you back and forth and carry on. It is very fast and high speed move. I know I hit my arm on the side of the thing a couple of times, and Dan hit his foot on the metal thing. Because Dan's tall. Here we go.
And its addition does feel somewhat out of place. But we also understand that having a steel roller coaster like this is essentially pendulums and a power surge, alongside classics that you'd struggle to find elsewhere.
Falcon.
And even this flyer, which
That
was
is
no
good.
joke,
Another one.
powered by a tractor engine, which might just be one of the most rural American theme park things we've ever seen. Many of these flats were a bit too spinny for our liking, but will likely be loved by any thrill-seeking teenagers in your group. But there is
the kids
one
love
more
it.
coaster to talk about. Black Diamond is an absolutely bizarre roller coaster that is impossible to explain
Yeah.
without
I can't. It's like, this music is making me not concentrate. Okay, I can hear that better. Now this roller coaster here is the mining roller coaster. This is easy ride, nice ride. It doesn't shake you, but it's pretty good. No, they will not sell because they don't want Hershey Park turning into a paid park like them. Because originally Hershey Park wasn't supposed to be like that. It was supposed to be how Knoebel's is, where you're able to go in the park, just pay as you go, wanting to ride the rides or whatever. And that's what Knoebel's wants to do. They want to keep it like that. And I pray to God they do. Right.
experiencing it yourself. It's not quite a dark ride, not quite a coaster, but somehow both. Touted as an eerie trip through the mines of Pennsylvania, I have a lot of respect for these weird and bizarre types of rides, because every year they become fewer and farther between. But I do understand that others may leave this attraction just plain confused.
A little bit.
Knock, knock. Hi
Okay,
there.
let
I'd
me-
love to show you what a K-12 powered school is really like.
Despite this being labeled
I
as a
did
roller
have
coaster,
premium. My
it's
premium's
tame
up,
enough
so I
that it
gotta
can
wait
be
till I get
experienced
paid.
by
I
the
could
whole
get
family,
premium again.
which leads us to family rides. 7 out of 10. There is no shortage of rides at Knoebel's, and just like its thrill lineup, the family attraction of classic and modern staples. It's become kind of a joke in our scripting at this point
Yeah,
because we
Red
mention it so
Berry.
often.
Mine,
So we have
I
to say it here.
did not like doing
Knoebel's
that one.
truly has something for everyone. Motorboats, vintage cars, trains, dodgems, a log flume, and a shoot the shoots are just some of what's on offer at the
Boat
park.
ride's awesome.
But taper your expectations slightly because this isn't Disneyland. You won't find any slow-moving or high-budget dark rides based around characters you know, and that's completely okay. Knoebel's isn't trying to do that.
Knoebel's is trying to be different from all the other amusement parks. We're trying to keep it simple, keep it easy, and all that. They are gonna, from what I read from last year, they were gonna expand. So, and sorry if you hear the noise in the background. Somebody's mowing their lawn. I don't know if it's Dan or if it's our neighbor. So, I apologize for the noises in the background.
But instead offers variety in its selection to ensure that everyone from toddlers to
Old Style
grandparents
Park, yes,
can
that's
have a
how
good
they
day
want
out.
to keep it.
Knoebels is also chock full of transportation attractions that ultimately just go in circles. But trust us, we aren't complaining.
The Sky
The train
Ride, I
provides an
freaked out.
excuse to just sit
I can't do
down
it
and
because of the
enjoy
height.
some of the beautiful local wilderness, as well as a skyway that offers a magnificent
skylight.
bird's eye view of the park, which we in our cameras couldn't get enough of. This was also the first time
With the skyline, Dan and my friend and my best friend and her husband talked me to go on it with them. Well, I'll tell you what, I grabbed a hold of Dan and I did not let him go. Because when we start getting up high, the higher up, I start freaking out. Because when the thing started swaying a little bit, that was it. You haven't been there for 20 years? I haven't been there for 4 years since we moved out here. No, actually, a little bit longer than that because of COVID. So that tells you how long it's been. But it is a nice park, and it's reasonable prices, too.
we have had the opportunity to experience a classic ring-throwing carousel. These were a staple back in the day, but have slowly been phased out over the years. The general premise is to grab the ring and throw it in the hole.
Oh,
I've
that's where
never
they
been
put...
one to
Okay, I didn't
ride
realize they put them
carousels,
in the museum
but
there.
this little gimmick had me going over and over again. Once I'd gotten past the initial fear that my hand was going to be torn off trying to grab the ring, I eventually got a feel for it, and it completely changed the average carousel experience. I honestly wish more theme parks had this still. Now, we may have told you a slight fib before when we said you won't.
Look at how old these horses are. I mean, let me go back. Look at how old they are. It's like, holy crap. That was back, they were back in 1918.
Been one to re-ride carousels, but this little gimmick had me going over and over again. Once I'd gotten past the initial fear that my hand was going to be torn off trying to grab the ring, I eventually got a feel for it.
Come on,
And it
dude.
completely
American,
changed the
seriously?
average carousel experience. I honestly wish more theme parks had this still. Now, we may have told you a slight fib before when we said you won't find any slow-moving dark rides, because there is one.
The Haunted Mansion, I
Wouldn't
love
recommend
going
it
in
for
there.
the younger ones. Haunted Mansion is one of the few attractions that requires an additional payment on top of having a ride all day pass.
There's this one part in the Haunted
Based on
Mansion
classic
that
ghost
it
trains,
gets me
it's
every
full
damn
of
time.
interesting effects and strange oddities that exude charm. It's a bit more intense, though, than a certain other spooky house that shares the same name. So it might be worth leaving the little ones behind on this one, but we do recommend checking it out. Also, I was violently angry after being blasted by a certain truck horn during the ride. And if
That's what got me.
you know exactly
Truck
what I'm
horn.
talking about.
I keep
We
forgetting
could
about the big
spend
truck
all
horn.
day just talking about the sheer amount of family rides
we
this
can.
park has, but we don't have time for that, because it's time for experiences. 8 out of 10. As mentioned earlier, Knoebels is as much of a museum as it is a theme park, with countless
Maybe,
rides
yeah,
and
maybe
attractions
did
that
that.
take you back to the golden
don't
era
know.
of amusement parks. The park also has a number of actual museums, though, with the first being the Carousel Museum. I genuinely think we may have been the only people who went into this building on the day we visited, but it was definitely worth it. This tiny, cramped building contains over 50 carousel figures, scenery paintings, and other carousel memorabilia.
And they have
With some
the
pieces being
they
over
have the horses from, if
150
you
years
remember,
old.
hold on, let me
The
pause.
park also has a mining museum that wasn't insanely interesting to us, and it
Okay. Now, that museum. Now, if anybody knows Pine Grove, way up in Pine Grove, there I remember back being Harold. It was a little outside stage. They had little like carousel. If you go straight out 72, it's just stay on 72, you go right to it. But they actually had the carousels from Harold's, which, like I said, they call it Twin Grove Park now. That's what they called it now. They actually had the original carousels in here now, so they didn't get ruined. I remember when I was little, I used to clean them, help, make sure they tried to stay in good condition. All right, here we go.
Knoebel's History Museum that was interesting to us, featuring old ride vehicles, an amazing timeline of the park, and plenty of historic photos. And the best thing is, all three of these museums are completely free to enter. At one point in our day, we stumbled into the park's fascination parlor, and the look of bewilderment on our faces caught the attention of the workers there, who gave us a few tokens to play a few rounds of this classic amusement game. Rolling the balls down the playfield, we truly felt as if we had stepped back in time, which is exactly what this park does best.
Games out there were
Knoebel's
boring.
also
They
features
were
a large swimming
I still
pool
say
with
they were written
slides
out there like
that were
Hershey Park
busier
are.
than the rides when we visited. While Knoebel's may not have grand experiences like Poseidon.
Okay, let me go back a little bit on here. Okay.
Years old. The park also has a mining museum that wasn't insanely interesting to us, and a Knoebel's History Museum that was interesting to us, featuring old ride vehicles, an amazing timeline of the park, and plenty of...
Now, the time park, as you've seen, 1817 was shown, and this is how long. I mean, you got 1990 of the Disney cottage built property by Life, and I had this like blown up a little bit. 1921 was the second cottage built on property by Mrs. Molly Maher of Shamokin. And then, Knoebel's Park opened on July 4th of, I was wrong. Why did they have it for 1918? That don't make sense. But I guess the initial, as it's reading here, the initial grand opening is 1926. And then 1927, they put in a bathhouse. Then 1928, century-year-old covered bridge. Okay, there's the covered bridge before they took it down. Now it's just like a look area. Okay, 1929 was the bathhouse number 2. And I pitied people if they had to go to the bathroom. Florida. Yeah, for the Dawn of the Disney one. Yeah, that was in Florida. Dedicated that to them. Let's see, replace the century-old covered bridge. Yeah, they can't even go across. There's 2 covered bridges. The one's blocked off, but the other one's still open. And the other one is like towards the store. Okay, 1930 is the Lindy Loop, with one of the first kiddie rides. 1931 was moving shooting gallery. The lines are installed to prevent drinking soda. Okay. Why'd they put that in there? I don't know. 1932, I can't see. 1933, they had the Crystal Railroad Seahog rink or skating rink. Sorry, skating rink. And I believe the skating rink was right where the it used to be right beside the carousel. From what my grandma told me. 1934, we got the Stump
Is that Star or Sugar?
Sugar.
Sugar.
She hears the mower going outside. So she's going outside now. Okay, what is that here? 1934, we got the Stone Parlor entrance. 35 is driving travel. 1936, I can't read. 1937 is, that's when they put the carousel up. 1937. 38, I could barely read, and that's pretty much it on that. So we're going to continue up a little bit.
Of historic photos. And the best thing is, all three of these museums are completely free to enter. At one point in our day, we stumbled into the park's fascination parlor, and the look of bewilderment.
This here, they don't, they actually shortened it. It's not as big as you see it in here. They actually moved it into a smaller building.
On our faces caught the attention of the workers there, who gave us a few tokens to play a few rounds of this classic amusement game. Rolling the balls down the playfield, we truly felt as if we had stepped back in time, which is exactly what this park does best. Knoebels also features a large swimming pool with slides that were busier than the rides when we visited. While Knoebels may not have grand
Oh,
experiences
come
like
on. I hate that. I'm trying to. Okay, remote boats, country, Bear Juby. That was okay, I'll have to see when the date that was.
completely free to experience and
Then you got
explore,
the fascination and
extra
Enforcement
special
for
and
Dinosaur.
well worth considering. Entertainment, 5 out of 10. Entertainment on your visit will be highly dependent on the day and time of year. On our visit, we caught 2 shows in the park's main entertainment location called the Bandshell.
Hey, they got good
First,
entertainment.
The Avalons,
I
the Beach
can't
Boys-esque
complain about
show
that.
that played music well out of our era, but a show we still enjoyed, even if it was mostly as it gave us a place just to chill out and relax. Second was the Davison Family Circus, which was a mix of juggling, quick change, and magic, none of which was roof-raisingly amazing, but also weren't offensively bad, unlike some other shows we saw on our US road trip.
Oh, my Nanda.
Your dedication is impressive. Remember, a
Come
commander
on.
is only as powerful as
There
their
we go.
Elsewhere around the park were 2 other shows, including a lighthouse.
They still have the original costumes. They still have that costume. It's actually hanging in the museum.
Puppet show, and something called the Time Machine Theater that we missed out on. While none of the shows were groundbreaking, the fact that anyone can come into the park for free and watch them was a nice little surprise. The park is also full of historic pipe organs, with our favorite being a classic, almost 120-year-old Wurlitzer across from Phoenix that we could happily listen to all day. These may not be entertainment for most, but for us,
That clock is still there. And where they were showing the entertainment thing, that's still there. And across the court, they have a cafe now, and the bathroom's over by the Phoenix roller coaster.
they certainly are. Operations, 6 out of 10. Pay-per-ride parks usually have top-notch operations, as more guests through each ride per hour directly equals more money to the park. Though, this wasn't always the case at Knoebels. Some rides were randomly closed, and when we'd ask people, they told us they'd be...
They don't have that no more. That rocket that goes around and around in circles like that, they don't have it anymore. They took that out. They took that out, and they took the umbrella, the red and blue umbrella out. Those two are no longer there.
Closed all day, only for us to walk by later and find the ride open for business. Flying Turns has short trains that only hold 3 to 6 people each. And all of those people have to be weighed before riding. The park did make the best of this situation, though, with the ride running multiple trains. But just beware that due to the nature of this attraction, you can probably expect to have one of, if not the longest wait in the park here. Speaking of long waits, there didn't appear to be much consistency in regards to operations. Despite it being a very quiet day, some rides still had long waits for no apparent reason. We felt that operations weren't super transparent. We went to Twister and there was no signage or any operation.
Twister, they no longer have it. Unless that's one of the ones that they rebuilt and renamed it. But Twister ain't, the name Twister ain't there no more.
Operators in sight. Visiting a nearby ticket booth, they said that the ride was closed and didn't have much more information to give us. Later on, the ride reopened, but at the same time, Phoenix then closed. This may have been a staffing problem, but with little consistency or advertising, it was just hard to figure out. And it's not a great feeling to trudge all the way over to a ride just to find it closed with no notice. But you know what would help our operations here at Review Time? Giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. And if you want to...
And I do have the link in the chat. Please hop over, give them a like, give them love, leave a comment. We're going to be soon. It's almost done.
To support what we do, be sure to check out our Patreon. Theming, 4 out of 10. Knoebels isn't a true theme park, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. The park knows exactly what it is and embraces that small town amusement park feel well. Despite this, the architectural style in the park stays pretty consistent throughout.
And as you see the roads, before I flipped over there, the roads are still the same. Stone and all that. But at least there is no hills.
Kind of rural lodge theme. The park is well looked after and filled with lush greenery that makes exploring it enjoyable, as there's always something new and exciting just around the corner. Some attractions, such as Black Diamond and the Haunted Mansion, are well themed individually, but there isn't really an overarching theme to tie them together with anything else around. Merchandise, 5 out of 10. For a small park in the middle of nowhere, we were surprised at the number of park-specific merchandise offerings. The largest available range of items was the t-shirts, with a huge variety of designs, all at a reasonable price. Not just featuring the park, but also plenty of options featuring individual attractions.
This place here is pretty good with the prices. The cups are decent prices. The clothing, the real good prices at this location right here. The other location is a little bit more expensive. The other store in the park.
You can also find the park's logo on keychains, mugs, and pretty much any other expected classic theme park choice, all for reasonable prices. Outside of these, there's a ton of random stuff that wouldn't feel out of place in a thrift or dollar store, which was a bit weird to see. Not that we're complaining, as kids seem to love it. It's just something to be aware of. Affordability, 10 out of 10. Knoebels is one of the few theme parks in the world that still runs on a free entry and pay-per-ride basis. If you're taking your kids into the park, and don't want to ride anything? It won't cost you a cent. Even parking here is free, and they allow you to bring in any food that you want.
And you
Meaning
bring your
you can
pets.
genuinely enjoy a day in this park for nothing. Letting your kids ride the
Nah.
rides while you
Okay,
enjoy
the train
the
ride
entertainment,
is a
museums,
mile and a
more.
half.
On weekdays, the park offers all you
A
can
mile and a
ride
half is that
wristbands for
train ride.
$55, but most people won't need that anyway.
They
With
wouldn't even have
individual
that rocket
attractions
anymore.
ranging from $2 to $5, it's more economical for most people to just grab tickets and ride what they want to. Even if you decide to splurge and purchase food within the park, your wallet won't be hurting, as food is also extremely affordable. Dom got this map.
Okay, the potato cake one, they don't have that anymore. The pickle one, they moved that to the other end of the park. They now have a Chick-fil-A in there. They have, I'm just trying to think because my friend was up there last year. Chick-fil-A's now in there, Taco Bell's now in there, and just the regular other ones. But that one, no longer.
Massive pickle on a stick for just $1.50. Now compare that to a Disneyland pickle, which is $4 for the exact same thing. Of the 12 parks we visited on our USA road trip, Knoebels was easily the most affordable. Atmosphere, 6 out of 10.
Why
Knoebels is
6?
much like the camping of theme parks. It's slower paced, surrounded by wilderness and lush foliage,
Oh, I
in a
love that
rustic
old train.
environment that feels cozy and welcoming. It's one of those parks that benefits greatly from
One of
its
these years, I'm
surrounding
going to
area.
camp there
It
for a
doesn't work
weekend or a
against
week.
its natural setting, but
Just
rather
to
embraces
enjoy
it.
it.
Despite visiting on a rather hot day, the abundance of trees surrounding and throughout Knoebels provided some excellent natural shade to help us escape from the heat. In saying that, after visiting around 8 gated theme parks before this, it's a strange feeling to walk into a park with no ticket check, no fanfare, and no grand entrance. The park just kind of begins.
Yep.
Having a gate
Right
does
when you walk
provide a
in.
unique feeling of exclusivity that drives you to stay as long as
There's that
possible to
mile and a half
maximize
train
that ticket price.
ride.
And whilst not having that same feeling does provide for a different experience,
And the swimming
lack of
pool over
pressure
there is awesome.
very
It's all
welcoming.
spring water. No
it was
contamination.
also evident
no,
when visiting that probably
chlorine, none
not
of
too
that.
many Australians
All
make
spring
their
water.
way to Knoebels. Because
Natural.
for some guests and employees, we became somewhat of a novelty, with shocked looks when they heard our accents. Dom had an interesting experience where
was
somebody at a
expensive.
store serving him just kind of stopped with their jaw
Our
agape
t-shirts
when
are
he tried
anywhere
to order
from
something, which was
50 all the way up to
Factor provides balanced eating
all the way
made
up
simple.
to
They provide a new
um,
menu every week with delicious, nutritious
to
meals.
like a little over 100.
rather funny for everyone involved. It does feel like this park was built for locals, and that's completely okay. Likewise, there's a true family feeling at Knoebels, with groups having 3 or 4 generations of family members all in the park together, and all having a great time. Services, 5 out of 10. Knoebels was open
Yeah,
from
the
12
services
p.m. to
I need
8
care
p.m.,
for, 'cause
which
when I was
isn't
trying to get
insanely
my,
long hours compared to some other theme
thing
parks,
for,
but gave us a nice late
handicap.
start to the day, and we were
Rude.
easily able to get everything we wanted to do done by around 6 p.m. so that we could get back on the road before it got too dark. Knoebels has a nearby campground and cottages that you can stay at, and the fact that you can come and go as you please without needing to pay for
Yeah, you're
entry
talking about
means that the park is full of
300
similar
or something
campground
a month
amenities you
or,
may not find
know,
at other
a week.
parks. Also, the addition of the large pool area does make Knoebels feel more like a village with rides than a theme park. For those with a permanent or physical mental disability, Knoebels provides a ride accessibility program which you can find more about on their website. Likewise, the park has partnered with the International Board of Credentialing and
Yep,
Continuing
sensory friendly.
Education
Yep.
Standards to be a certified autism center. This means their team has received specialized training to cater to all children, including those with special needs. Knoebels was the most remote park in our US road trip, but one we don't regret going out of our way for. But it's a hard park to wholly recommend to people who aren't as big of theme park nerds as us or are already
like
in
I
the
said, you
area.
want an old
So if you
theme
ever
park,
make it
an
out to
old,
Hershey
you know,
Park,
back
it's
in
probably
time
worth
theme
the
park,
hour and a
this would
bit
be the
drive
one.
north just to hit up Phoenix and Flying Turns alone. The rest of the park is just a nice added bonus. We will probably never make it back to this park, but we were incredibly grateful we got to go this once. But over to you. Have you been lucky enough to make it out to Knoebels? And if so, what did you think? Let us know in the comments section down below.
Yeah, it's like
For
I
Review
said,
Time,
make
I'm
sure you
Luke.
go over, give
Thanks
them
for
a
watching.
like. Make sure you go over and give them a like, a comment, and share their page. Okay, now, do we want to continue with the amusement parks, or do we want to jump over to the Yellowstone?
Up to you.
Well, which one's more interesting, doing the park thing or checking out the Yellowstone?
Yellowstone.
Okay, we'll switch over to that. So let's stop sharing on that, and we'll pull up Yellowstone. Okay, let me see. Share. Oh, I forgot to pull it up. No, I thought I did pull it up. Okay, this one here, I'm going to go with Geology Hub, which they put this out 3 days ago. So let me pull it up here.
At 10 a.m. local.
Okay, and I'm going to share. I'm going to share the link. Make sure you guys go over and give them a like and everything. And help them out. Okay. Now, this is Yellowstone. This 3 days ago, it had erupted. They don't know why it erupted or what happened, but hopefully, you know, this explains a little bit more. Oh, that was quick. No, wait a minute. Whoa.
What?
No. Oh, I hit the wrong one.
Did I?
Here we go.
miss something?
I mean, wait. I hit the wrong one. Okay. Put that one back. Okay, we want that one, not that other one. Okay, Yellowstone. That's one I put up. Why did it go back to the other one? YouTube is being fussy tonight. Okay, here we go.
On July 23rd, 2024, a powerful explosion unexpectedly occurred at the Yellowstone Pool in Wyoming. As the ground surrounding the whirlpool in the Biscuit Basin geothermal area exploded upwards, columns of mud and pulverized rock rose to 200 feet or 61 meters in height, producing a dark black plume. Simultaneously, large boulders of geyserite rock began falling back to the ground, crashing down on a group of tourists who began running away on a boardwalk. Thankfully, no tourists.
That is fucked up. Holy shit. If they would have saw that coming up right away, I want to know, did they see it before it exploded, or it just like happened?
I don't know.
This is intense.
You would think it's because of the gas
Of the
bubbles.
boardwalk.
That's possible. Well, I know the military's been doing underground work, so they could have triggered it too.
True.
So we would have to look into it more. All right, here we go.
destroyed as large 20-plus pound rock fragments, many of which were coated with highly acidic geothermal water, fell up to 190 feet away from the explosion site. While many people on the internet were quick to rush and post footage of this very explosion with the claim that a volcanic eruption had occurred, this claim was simply incorrect. Despite the appearance of the explosion which took place, which I estimate had an energy release equivalent to the detonation of 2.62 metric tons of TNT, and I cannot stress this enough, the Yellowstone
Holy shit. Okay, enough. The Yellowstone volcano did not just produce a baromatic volcanic eruption, parasitic. So, as they were saying, when that erupted, it's like a TNT. So that like spread for miles.
volcano did not just produce a phreatic volcanic eruption. Phreatic volcanic eruptions are caused by magma heating overlying groundwater, which flashes to steam and explodes upwards.
Holy
In
smokes.
contrast, the phenomena we witnessed was
That is
known as a
pretty-
hydrothermal explosion, which is a non-volcanic steam explosion caused by a sudden and rapid drop in pressure rather than a sudden and rapid increase in heat from shallow magma. Per a direct quote from the U.S. Geological Survey, hydrothermal explosions are violent and dramatic events resulting in the rapid ejection of boiling water, steam, mud, and rock fragments. Hydrothermal explosions can occur.
This is starting to remind me of that movie Volcano. That's what this is reminding me of, because everything he's saying there, it happened, on that movie when they were in California filming. They were filming and they had to make a path for the volcano, for the lava. This is what it's reminding me of.
Occur where shallow interconnected reservoirs of fluids with temperatures at or near the boiling point underlie thermal fields. These fluids can rapidly transition to steam if their pressure suddenly drops. Since vapor molecules take up much more space than liquid molecules, the transition to steam results in significant expansion and blows apart surrounding rock and ejects debris. The drop in pressure which caused this explosion was likely triggered by the buildup of sinter, a
See, I'm used to seeing that which they do not have Yellowstone live right now, because I was going to put that on, but that's what I normally see when I watch it. I end up catching the geysers every time. They come out like if I remember correctly, PD, correct me. It's like every 45 minutes a gusher comes up. But don't hold me to it. But last I knew, it was every 45 minutes. All right, let's continue and see how this went off.
aka a mixture of amorphous opal and quartz onto the area where hot water flowed upwards. Sinter is commonly precipitated by geothermal water, especially on geyser vents, so from time to time plugs like this do form. Hydrothermal explosion craters widely vary in size within Yellowstone, ranging from 3 feet to 7,300 feet wide, while very large hydrothermal
Holy smokes. Look at that. That is the volcano from inside. When it catches up to you on YouTube. But that is the volcano. That's how big the volcano is. From air shot. Large hybrid explosion, which from craters larger than 100 meters or 328 feet. That's pretty big. And Bunker Hill in Lebanon is nowhere near that. Now, Smoking, they have one up there. That's a little bit bigger. Oh, they went up? Okay, 85 minutes lasting minutes. Oh, okay, so it went up then. That's why I said don't hold me to it. It's been a while. Thank you, PD.
Explosions, which form craters larger than 100 meters or 328 feet wide, occur within Yellowstone about once every 900 years. For smaller hydrothermal explosions, which form at least a 1 meter or 3.3 foot wide crater, occur about once every 5 years. So, where exactly?
Okay. Are we on the 5th year of it? Maybe that's what's going on? Says, where exactly does the latest explosion rank among recent events? Well, between the 1880s and 2004, a total. So this might be the 5th year of it. Let's listen on and see.
Exactly does the latest explosion rank among recent events? Well, between 1880 and 2024, a total of 28 hydrothermal explosion sequences occurred within Yellowstone National Park, forming craters between 3.3 and 351 feet wide. Although the size of the
Holy
crater
smoke,
formed by
that's
today's
big.
event is unclear, video footage seems to suggest that around a 50-foot wide crater formed. If this were the case, then the hydrothermal explosion would mark the largest such event to occur within Yellowstone National Park since 1986. More smaller explosions could subsequently occur from the same crater during the next few hours to days, perhaps even weeks, but none should be as powerful, in my opinion, as the explosion which ejected 222 cubic meters of rock. Besides, this very
Holy smokes. You see all that smoke? And that was back in, what did they say, 1986? Holy smoke.
That's a lot of smoke.
And amazingly, I don't even, I remember the teachers talking about it, but they never showed the pictures. That's the first time I've seen pictures of that. Actually, oh wait, let me see what PD wrote here. Oh, he deleted
Actually,
it.
old Facebook is supposed to be faithful. Goes off
Oh.
every 404 minutes to 2.5 hours latest.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting. Wow. But this is how it normally is. You know, before any big eruption, but this is how normally we see it.
same feature produced prior hydrothermal explosions in 1934 and 2009. To alleviate everyone's misplaced fears, the Yellowstone volcano is not even remotely capable of producing a true volcanic eruption at the present, simply because an insufficient percent of its underlying magma is in a liquid state. Thus, Yellowstone cannot physically erupt anytime soon. Also, this hydrothermal explosion, along with the smaller event which occurred on April 15th, has absolutely zero implications about the overall state of the Yellowstone volcano. While uncommon, these
Okay. Well, right there, in
You
a
keep-
theory, just a theory, my opinion, it's the government military underneath the ground causing this. Because if they're saying that it's not capable of erupting like a volcano would erupt, then it has to be them it has to be the military underground, because the military underground isn't that far away from Yellowstone. If they show a better picture, I'll show you what area, because my cousin showed me. Well, when he was married to my cousin. Okay.
explosions represent typical activity at this large caldera volcano. As a result, Yellowstone's alert level is being rightfully kept at green. As a final note, I would like to thank my new YouTube channel member, John Malinger, for supporting this channel.
Okay, gotta wait for this commercial to get done. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. 44 minutes to 2.5 hours, it said. Yeah. That is like, wow. Now I want to look up Centralia and that shit now. Miss Angie's got ideas.
Nope, look up Centralia.
Okay, I gotta figure out how to spell it.
CEN.
Hold on. CEN.
T. Trying to remember how to spell it. RA.
RA.
LIA.
LIA.
A.
Okay, here we go, guys. Let's see what we find. Okay. The ghost town that is still burning. And this is Part-Time Explorer. And it's only 37 minutes and 45. So, what we're going to do is, I'm going to, this here. This is a new group. I never heard of these guys. So, this is going to be new to all of us. Make sure, I'm going to post the link. Make sure you go over and give them, the same thing. I'm going to hit the like, so I don't forget. And to make that bigger, now Centralia, if anybody knows the town, it's based on the movie of Silent Hill. It is truly, that is Silent Hill. The church is still there. They were talking about tearing it down. I don't know if that's still going to happen, but yeah. So let's get into seeing what they have to say, this group here.
Centralia, Pennsylvania, one of the most famous ghost towns in the world because it's been on fire for 60 years and will continue to burn for another 250 more. The fires are not above ground, mind you, but are instead burning through the unmined coal veins beneath the town, causing sinkholes and poisonous gas that has laid waste to...
Hang on 1 second. I'm going to turn this down a little bit so me and Angie can talk if we need to. And I will pause it if needed. And like I said, we will be commenting. No, don't do that.
The town above.
There we go.
Now, the streets are all but empty, though they are occasionally smoke-filled, and little remains to indicate where homes once stood. When we explore a western ghost town, most of them were short-lived boom towns that flashed in their respective pans and faded from existence as their residents moved on to better prospects. But that isn't the story of Centralia. Centralia is a town that some families called home for generations. A town where many people were born, lived,
that are up there,
loved,
and one had
grew
passed
old in.
away. But guess what? 2 or 3 years ago?
The story of Centralia goes back 2.5 centuries. One of the first owners of the land was a man named Robert Morris, a veteran of the American...
Huh?
I think there's only like 2 or 3 living there now.
Yeah, because that gentleman passed. Yeah. So there's only a few people, and I guess once they're gone, they're going to shut that whole area down, and it's going to be gone, period. They're tearing it. There's already houses that are gone back there. You see the foundation of them, but they're pretty much gone already. All right, here we go.
American Revolution and a signer of the Declaration of Independence. Robert went bankrupt and lost the land before he could do anything with it. But the first development of the land began around 1810, when the Reading Road was built through the valley. First surveyed in 1770 by a man named Francis Yarnall, the Reading Road was an early turnpike that connected the towns of Reading and Sunbury in Pennsylvania. Now, it was well known that anthracite coal was common in the area, and
And to this day, they still have that underground railroad. They do it as an attraction now. They still do work in that mine there. They watch it. They see what the temperature and the breathing is and everything else. The last time I was up there, they weren't labeled to take us in the very, very back because of there was this. They were saying something about a small steam pocket, and they wanted to make sure it was okay. So we didn't get to go to the very back of the mine. We got to go halfway. We were able to get out, go up these stairs, and actually see down. But that mine is still there.
small-scale mining operations were set up across the valley. And in 1831, a man named Jonathan Faust managed to acquire, through illegitimate means, enough lumber to build an inn. Now, without even properly gaining permission from the landowner, Faust just started building a tavern along the Reading Road in the middle of this remote valley, along the stretch between Mount Carmel and Ashland. And nobody stopped them. He called it Bull's Head Tavern. And as mining cabins popped up nearby, the area became known as Bull's Head.
And to this day, it's still there. And it is a nice place.
It was 10 years later that the young town was purchased by the Locust Mountain Coal and Iron Company, who brought in an engineer named Alexander Ray to plot and develop the small town of Bull's Head into a proper community. Now, Jonathan Faust didn't.
And Arathix is still a company today mining areas of Pennsylvania. Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
Complained because he didn't own the land anyway, and really hoped that the mining company wouldn't notice. Well, it turns out they did notice, and they didn't care. The first thing Alexander Ray, the mining company's engineer, did was rename it to Centerville and apply for a post office. Well, turns out Pennsylvania already had a Centerville, so our boy had to come up with a new name, and he chose Centralia. The town was officially incorporated in 1866 with Alexander Ray as the official founder. The Reading Road became Route 61, which still winds through.
And Route 61 to this day is haunted. There is supposed to be a gentleman that apparently had seen the black dog when he was a truck driver. To this day, he still haunts that road. There's a reenactment every night on that road. And I had not yet seen it. I drove down the road. I felt it. I felt, but I got out of there real quick. All right, here we go.
Through the town, making a 90-degree turn to the west at the town center. Well, now the mining companies needed laborers, so in came the Irish. Centralia had a massive influx of Irish Catholic immigrants in the 1850s, following the opening of the Locust Mountain Coal and Iron Company at the top of the hill. As a result, Centralia became a mostly Irish Catholic community. Now, at first they attended Sunday Mass at the nearby town of Ashland, but when Harrisburg became a diocese of its own in 1868, Centralia was given its own church, named St. Ignatius, and the land for which was donated by the Coal and Iron Company. Most of the town's men worked at the mine. They prayed at St. Ignatius, and they drank at the Bull's Head Tavern. It was a simple living, but not all was right in Centralia. The Bull's Head Tavern was home to meetings of a secret society called the Molly Maguires. The Molly Maguires was a group of Irishmen who sprang up in Pennsylvania during this.
Yeah, the Molly Irish, if I remember correctly, they had got, which we'll find out in the documentary here in a second. But if I remember correctly, they were ruthless. They wouldn't let anybody near them. They wouldn't let anybody help. Nothing. And I think something happened to him. And that's why he brought it there. And it's been haunted since. So, and I think these are the ones that started that fire underneath, I believe. Don't hold me to it.
Time, targeting corrupt and abusive mining companies, and often violently clashed with unfair company men. Others claimed that they were a terrorist organization. Now, those of you familiar with Pennsylvania mining history will know how 20 of the Molly Maguires were hanged in the 1870s across the coal regions of Pennsylvania after having been targeted by the Pinkerton detective.
Yep. That's what I thought. I thought I read that right. Yep. They didn't have the suits yet for the people that did that, but they either hung them or, as you see with the rifles, they shot them. Okay, I have seen the black dog while driving at night. It jumped. Hold on, I gotta bring it up a little bit because that damn heart. You can see. Okay, it jumped through my windshield. Seriously? Seriously, PD? Wow. Did you have your windshield break or anything? Or was it just like...
Damn.
Yeah. My father-in-law saw the black dog already. And he says it's not very pretty. Okay, here we go.
Agency. But a handful of little-known executions occurred right here in Centralia. On October 17th, 1868, while driving his carriage from his home in Centralia to nearby Mount Carmel, Alexander Ray was stopped by 4 miners belonging to the Molly Maguires, who attempted to rob him of the company's payroll. Unfortunately for everyone involved, Ray wasn't carrying the payroll, so the robbers shot him multiple times.
Now, this part I never heard. I never heard this way into what they're saying. I remember them being, a terrorist and everything. That's why I said that in the beginning when we saw them. But I didn't know the depth, so this is interesting. Yep, it wakes you. Let me tell you. Oh, I can believe it. I can believe it, PD. I've heard stories, plenty of them. All right, here we go, guys.
The men got away with it for 10 years when the Pinkerton agency managed to link them to the crime. Only 3 of the men were still alive 10 years later. These 3 were hanged in 1877.
Yep.
But let's not focus on the few blemishes of Centralia's history. Centralia was an overall bustling, happy community. By the late 1800s, Centralia reached its peak population of nearly 2,800 people. Most of them were parishioners of St. Ignatius Catholic Church on the top of the hill, which in 1890 had a membership of 3,000 people. A rectory, a convent.
Okay, that church they show, when you turn, Ashland's hard to find in Centralia. But that church is in Ashland there, and if you go back this one road, all the way up, you'll see up on top of the hill, you'll see the church. And it does have a thing across it saying do not trespass. So you can't actually go up into the church, but you see it. And it's pretty nice.
And a school were all built nearby. We can see these buildings in several old photographs of St. Ignatius. Trolley lines connected Centralia to both Ashland and Mount Carmel.
And they still have the trolley going through there in
a handful of hotels, countless homes and shops, and even 2 theaters. It's here, at the site of the municipal building built in the 1970s, that the original Centralia Firehouse once stood.
Mm-hmm.
Across the street from it, at the corner of Locust and Railroad Streets, is where the general store once stood, pictured here in 1906. Railroad Street was the location of, you guessed it, the railroad. A branch of the Lehigh Valley Railroad ran right through the town. So there were two sets of tracks coming right down Railroad Street here. And you can see behind me where they curved north. As they crossed Locust right here, there was actually a switch right where the curve began.
You know.
It curves to the north, but then it's
Look at that. It goes and it does. It curves. Now, you go across the street here, the crossway, lengthwise or widthwise, right in there. If you take that and you go to the left, you'll head to the cemetery part. And if you either take the right side or go across and take the back road in, you'll head up to the church. And if you go up further by the past the cemetery, that's where you'll see everything, the church and the old buildings and all that.
straightens back out to the east, and that would have taken them to other towns down that way, and eventually linking up at the town of Penhaven, now a ghost town as well, and perhaps I'll explore that someday. This is actually the Mahanoy branch of the Lehigh Valley Railroad. Because this area is so mountainous, it's actually very expensive for the railroad company to carve the width needed for two different tracks coming through the mountains. So the fact that they have two tracks.
And that looks like Kapiti Road. The way it's set up, it looks. Don't hold me to it, but it does look like it.
Coming through Centralia really speaks to the amount of traffic coming through here, that this was that important to have two different tracks. This would have serviced both passengers and freight.
The street followed the railroad right-of-way, which was over here, for another block. And then past that block, it dead-ended. The trail, which was most likely utilized by the railroad, continued on for about another quarter mile, as it still does today. It's a little bit shady, though. I've seen some nasty items over there, so.
Uh-oh. They're probably doing witchcraft shit over there.
Almost certainly the location of the depot. This would have been that telegraph pole.
Now, he was telling that, yeah, where that telegraph pole was right where he was saying where that one building was. But if you head down this road, like back in there, it's supposed to take you right into Centralia, the Kapiti Road, Betty Road.
This other view of the station would more or less be from this general angle, but you'd be standing over there. The cameraman will be in those trees because the tracks came along here, and it's on the far side of the tracks. What'd you find in there, Matt?
Pennsylvania keys plate.
Holy crap! Ooh. That's an old license plate.
Balled up in a ball there. Saw it glistening in the light.
We had that pattern on our furniture.
I have some furniture that had such
Now the rifle round, 271.
Oh, wow, look at that.
But it did not go off. The pen has hit it from the hammer.
Good thing from a town being on fire that the trees would be gone, something
in
they're
December
not.
1908, a fire ripped along
No, nature had time to take back over again.
Buildings.
Huh?
I said no, because nature had time to take back over again.
Yeah, for now, but who knows for how long. Because it's like it said, this can burn for another 265 years yet, or more. It just depends. Which I already know, and I heard reports that it is coming down. It's already past. It's already near Pine Grove, close to Pine Grove right now. So we're hoping that's where it's going to stop before it goes anywhere further. Okay, here we go.
As a result, 150 people were left homeless. Nonetheless, Centralia rebuilt.
Yep.
The World Wars and the Great Depression hit the mining industry hard, and the population of Centralia began to
Yep,
decline.
and that's where they buried our
1918 also saw an
soldiers.
outbreak of influenza in the town that killed more than
That's on the
10%
other
of
side of the
Centralia's
church.
population.
And the other road.
Another notable incident in Centralia history occurred in 1948 when a DC-6 airliner, United Airlines Flight 624, crashed en route to New York City, killing all 43 people on board. The impact site was just to the north of Centralia, and the recovery efforts were based out of the town. By 1960, Centralia was a peaceful, quiet community with one operational coal.
Now look, all those buildings that are up in Centralia and Ashland. See how many buildings are up there? They're now gone. All you see is the frame, the foundation. That's it.
Coal mine and a population of 1,435 people.
The original town dump site was not too far from St. Ignatius Church, and every Memorial Day weekend, the town would actually burn off all of the trash in the dump to eliminate odors and to compact the trash that they have and basically reduce it down to ashes. The town dump site, however, was forced to shut down when Pennsylvania revised their waste elimination laws in the 1950s. As a result, illegal dump sites started popping up all across Centralia, and there were 8 of these total. This forced the town of Centralia to set up a new dump site. An old pit mine from the 1930s by Oddfellows Cemetery was selected, and that's where we're standing right now.
And that's where the fire started for underneath the ground, because they kept on. Please, nobody text my phone while I'm doing this, please. I got my YouTube up. I got to keep an eye on my YouTube. Anyway, so this is the site where it had started for the underground of the burning part of it.
Trash was dumped into the pit mine 50 feet down, and all the illegal dump sites across the town were collected and dumped in as well. Memorial Day 1962 came around, and it was time for the fire department to burn the trash. They set up a controlled burn on the morning of May 27th, and then they extinguished the flames that night. 2 days later, the flames returned. The fire department doused it. A week later, the flames returned. The fire department doused it, and then again, and they doused it. So something was going on. The flames kept returning. So crews were brought in to then churn up the trash so that they could douse the lower levels and get anything that was smoldering below. And that's when they realized an even greater problem. There was a hole in the wall of the pit mine that gave access for the flames to an old vein of coal.
And that's right where it is when it catches up on you guys on YouTube. But me and Angie can see it right at the moment. And I'll wait till it catches up on YouTube. There we go. Right there, where that red is. That's where they were dumping all the stuff. And the hole started right along there, underneath the ground. And it just happened to spread wider and wider and wider and wider.
So now coal under the town and the old mines dating back to the 1850s were now on fire.
On August 6th, a full 2.5 months after the ignition of the fire, a meeting was held to discuss how the fire would be handled. The origins of the fire, having been started by controlled burning by the municipal government, was concealed by the council. It was simply said that the fire had unknown origins. Proposals were put forward to put the fire out. One man, an engineer with the Department of Mines and Mineral Industries, said that he'd put the fire out for $175. Another miner said that he would do it for free if he could just keep the coal that he dug up along the way. Both plans were rejected in favor of a state-run solution. A contract for $20,000 was awarded to an excavation company who felt confident that they could put the fire out. However, when it came time to act, the state restricted their operations to a small area and refused to allow the company to.
They refused the company to go down in there and take it, to try to get it down more, and they weren't allowed to.
do any of their own surveying or exploratory digging to see the real perimeter of the fire. They were also only permitted to work on weekdays for 8 hours a day. This prevented them from being able to dig fast enough to control the fire, and the digging that they could get done allowed a greater influx of oxygen into the tunnels. In short, the digging was kept at too slow a speed, and the fire outpaced them. The project funding ran out at the end of October of that year, and by then, the underground fire was reaching the edges of town. Another project was funded to pump crushed rock and water into the ground to contain the fire, but harsh winter conditions executed, and the fire continued to spread. Further projects were considered, including digging a trench and filling it with concrete, but they were abandoned in 1963. Despite
Could you imagine back then them having to use all that equipment and it's hands-on? Now the technology nowadays, hell, if they would look at that now and try, get over to that area and try it again, I bet you 10 to 1 they could make a little bit more progress. They find out where it's starting at, where it's going into next. If they can stop it where it's going into next, with the technology we got today, it'd be over. It'd be done.
Despite the spreading fire, daily life in Centralia carried on more or less as usual. I'm standing at the street corner of Center Street and Locust, where in 1966 a family with a camera gathered to watch the Centralia Centennial Parade.
Awesome.
It had been 100 years since the town was founded, and the town was still full of life and happiness and joy, despite the fact that the fire had already begun raging beneath their feet. Despite their awareness of the fire, the town didn't know that the fates of their homes was all but sealed. In fact, the townspeople were optimistic. They placed a time capsule beneath the grounds of the American Legion Post 608 near St. Ignatius Church.
And you know what? We're gonna have to look it up to see if they actually did dig up the time capsule and see what they pulled. See what was pulled out. Because I know they did another one then.
Church. This concrete and cinder block foundation was once the site of the town's war memorial. A bell and brass plaque was erected here by the American Legion. Don't worry, it wasn't vandalized, stolen, or destroyed. American Legion Post 608 moved the memorial to their new location in nearby Wilburton, Pennsylvania in 2009. It's now 1967, and railroad service to Centralia has stopped. This wasn't due to the fire, but simply the decline of rail traffic in the United States at the time. But it was a sign of things to come for the town. After nearly 4 years of red tape and paperwork, approval was finally given to dig a large trench to contain the fire, but it was too little, too late. The fire had already spread 225 feet below the ground, and the project was abandoned. It would be another 2 years before the state would make another attempt. Residents began suffering from the effects of the fire, falling ill and lowering the quality of their lives. In 1969, the state began constructing another barrier out of fly ash, which came with its own health problems but was seen as the lesser of two evils. This would take 5 years to complete, and 2 years into the project, it was already seen that it would fail, as the barrier began collapsing and the fire was discovered beyond the containment zone. Nevertheless, the state...
Then that building you saw is what you would see today.
It decided to still spend money on completing the project, which did nothing. But they still called it a success and claimed that the project was solved.
You got all these DER officials, OSN, and Bureau of Mines, all these workers up there for years. They've been working there for years, but they say there's no mine fire.
And perhaps to demonstrate how confident the state was in their solution, a new government municipal building and firehouse was constructed in Centralia in 1977. It stands mostly vacant today. Despite this, After the state claimed the problem was solved, the town residents split into two factions. Those who wanted the damages fixed and to be able to stay in their family homes, which many of the families lived in for over 100 years, and the other group believed that the government caused this mess and should pay for
Oh my
them
God,
to
that's my Uncle
relocate.
Joe!
Both sides
In the
have
back.
their points, and I can understand both of their perspectives.
Wait a minute. Let me go back. I didn't know he went in there. Oh, shit.
And the different opinions split the town in two.
People fighting against each other as far as
Damn.
brother against brother and
That was
sister
my
against
Uncle
sister
Joe.
and things of this nature. There's no word to
He lived
describe
up there. Oh, he
kind of
lived in
problems that exist in
smoking.
the town today.
Him?
A Unity Day was
No,
organized.
let me go back. Let me see if I can find him. Hold on.
Claimed the problem was solved, the town residents split into two factions. Those who wanted the damages fixed and to be able to stay in their family homes, which many of the families lived in for over 100 years, and the other group believed that the government caused this mess and should pay.
Right there with the glasses.
Oh, the older guy.
Yep. That's my Uncle Joe, and that's my Aunt Betty.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know they went to that meeting. They never said anything. Yep. Those are my, that was my grandmother's brother. He had passed away with diabetes. But,
so great uncle.
yeah, he's my great uncle, yeah. But, shit, I didn't know he went up and did that meeting. I mean, my grandma was telling me, like, different things, but she's never, she said something about that Uncle Joe was part of something, but I didn't realize he was part of that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Pay for them to relocate. Both sides had their points, and I can understand both of their perspectives. They argued at every
Okay,
town meeting,
YouTube, you can't
and the
cut me
different
down.
opinions split
I
the
had to see
town
my
in two.
uncle.
People fighting against each other as far as brother against brother and sister against sister and things of this nature. There's no word to describe the kind of problems that exist in the town today.
A Unity Day was
This is
organized
for
to bring the
educational
town people
purposes,
together
too.
and to draw media attention to their problems and to hold a special mass service at St. Ignatius Church. The day was a success, and the town was united, until it was admitted that the fire was still spreading, and a survey was published shortly after that found that the cost of extinguishing the fire would be $660 million, almost $2 billion today, and would require the partial destruction of the.
You heard that right, too, right?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Why would I
My
pay for
language.
something y'all made a mistake on, though?
Go ahead, tell them what they made a mistake on.
They shouldn't have never lit that shit on fire.
I agree. But look, they had to use them. They were tearing down buildings. It's like I said, I mean, a lot of it was due to the fire, but a lot of it was due to them, too. Here we go.
The town regardless. The town's positivity was completely crushed. It's now 1979.
This is the site of
I
Coddington's
would've
gas and service
been
station. It's also the site of the first sign that the
7
Centralia
or
mine
8 years
fire was
old.
more serious than they'd imagined. On November 21st, 1979, gas station owner John Coddington noticed
been 8.
steam rising from the vacant lot next to his gas station. 2 days later, on November 23rd, he measured the temperature of the gas beneath his gas station in the underground tanks, and they were hot, 122 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ooh!
A few days later, that temperature had risen to 136 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if the gasoline got too hot, it could ignite or combust and blow the whole station up. The gas tanks were empty, the gas station was abandoned, and Coddington's gas station became the first building casualty of the Centralia fire, being demolished.
Holy smoke. And I remember that building. I remember that building. When they first built it. And yeah, they did have to tear it down because of the fact that the fire was right underneath it. Dang.
2 years later. It's 1980, 1 year after the underground heat was measured at Codding.
I literally stopped eating the same 3 meals every week because of HelloFresh. I was really out here struggling for so long with the basics of cooking when I should have been using HelloFresh
Don't
this
worry,
entire
mine
time.
just
It's
ran out
ridiculous.
too.
Washington's gas station.
Yeah, Monday.
These large
if I have
air
enough
vents
on
were
Monday, I
installed
might.
directly above the fire's location.
This is one of the smoke vents that was drilled into the dump site to let the gases leak out. And the idea was that putting these vents in there would enable the gas to come up in a controlled location as opposed to seeping up through the ground and the streets and the basements of the residents of the town. Now,
and that did not, it worked for a little while, but it no longer works.
But once the fire passed this area, it was now an entrance for oxygen to the veins below and enabled the fire to spread a little bit quicker. The reason for this fence around it is to prevent people from touching it. Now, it doesn't matter anyway. These don't even vent the smoke. The fire has long since passed underground. However, back when these were installed in 1981, these could get burning hot. So the fence was put up around it to keep people at a distance.
The threat of fire was now on people's minds, but it was also literally in their minds. Not only was heat rising up from the ground, but so were poisonous gases, and the townsfolk began suffering from carbon dioxide poisoning. One resident in 1981 said that my nose hurts, my eyes tear, I feel like a zombie, I just feel like going to sleep all the time. Another resident said that you could go to sleep at night, but you don't know if you're going to wake up in the morning. The town was scared, but it would take quite some time before the politicians were willing to do anything. Now, state health inspectors frequently came to visit homes and monitor the gas levels in them, but little more was done. It was on February 14th, 1981, that politicians and health inspectors came to Centralia to inspect in person to see if more action was needed.
Yeah, and paying the residents to move from there, or the residents to move from there. And it's like I said, at the time before it went lower, there originally was 8 residents that stayed behind. And throughout the year, throughout the couple of years, each resident had passed. And as me and Angie said, there's 3 left.
They came to see if they could find an immediate sign of danger, and their timing was perfect because they found it right here between Locust Street and Apple Alley over here. A 12-year-old boy named Todd Domboski was playing in his grandmother's backyard when he saw smoke rising from the ground. He went over to investigate, and the ground collapsed beneath him. Wafts of poison gas and tremendous heat kept shooting past him, and the ground collapsed even further. He held onto a tree root to keep from falling deeper into the hole as bursts of up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit went past him. Finally, his cousin was able to pull him out of the hole to safety. It's said that that sinkhole was possibly up to 150 feet deep.
Wow.
It formed by fires burning out the underground coal and creating unsupported voids beneath the town. As gas and heat compromised the solidity of the ground above, some of these voids collapsed.
Todd was safe, but Centralia most certainly wasn't.
The state of Pennsylvania approved a $42 million fund to buy the Centralia homes and help them relocate. But the way it was handled, however, made some of the residents want to stay even more.
Yep.
The appraiser appraised our house at $43,000, but the government offered us $17,000. If we did not accept the offer to move, should they take our neighbor on our other side, they would never come back and give us a second chance. In other words, it was a take it or leave it situation.
Yep.
If we didn't accept this the first time, we would be stuck there, and they would take everyone alongside of us and leave us there.
It's worth $36,000, but we were offered $11,000 for it. They took off depreciation for this and that, and you ended up with that, and you took it or you
they
stayed
got
there.
Screwed.
and we
They were
definitely
supposed to
wouldn't
have
stay.
higher
In
amounts than that.
1992, Governor Bob Casey claimed the remaining properties in Centralia by eminent domain, but evictions were put on hold by the next governor, Governor Tom Ridge.
Yep.
Centralia still lost its post office in 2002. Years later, in 2009, Governor Ed Rendell began evicting people once again. Legal battles ensued, and the state reached an agreement that some residents can continue living in Centralia, but their homes would go to the state when they die and cannot be left to their descendants.
Bullshit.
Some residents believed that the state had ulterior motives. They believed, especially by 2009, that the fire had already passed beyond the town, and the state was only interested in the mining rights for the town, as they believed.
To this day, they are still fighting. They are still trying to get those 3 residents out. And so when me and Jem were up there, we were visiting and everything, we got to talk to one of the residents. That's how I know how many were there. And she said, now this was like 2 years ago. She said that the government is still trying to not let their families inherit it or anything. They don't want anybody's name on any of the properties. So they basically want to hide Centralia like it never ever happened.
Of course, they made a mistake.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Believe there's up to $2 trillion in coal still unburned below. Others believe that all that coal has long since burned off, and even if it hadn't, the value of anthracite coal continues to decline today. There certainly is quite a bit of coal still beneath the town, as it's estimated that the fire will continue to burn for over 250 more years. While nobody in Centralia was directly
Ooh, y'all are being bad.
Okay. You coming back and checking on us, huh? Okay, we're doing Centralia document.
Well, excuse me, Mr.
Angie and I in the chat. What, Angie?
Oh, I was fucking with him. I said, well, excuse me, Mr. Man.
Oh, Angie said, excuse me, Mr. Man, don't say hi.
Well, I can't say hi when you got the headset on.
I put it on so I can hear him.
Hi, y'all. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.
How you doing?
Good, you?
I'm surviving.
That's everybody.
Yep.
Ooh, and I got cake left.
Oh, you gonna send some to us?
You want some of the strawberry cake?
Oh, I'll take it. Dad won't, but me and Jen will take some. Strawberry cake. Jen's like, yeah, I'll take some.
Good luck. It'd probably be moldy by the time it got to y'all.
I'll stick with the marble, too.
Probably be hard as a rock.
And moldy.
Or probably Aiden. When someone smells the strawberry, they'll be like, oh, strawberry cake.
There ain't no more strawberries left on that shit. The strawberries are gone.
They're gone. There you go. Well, here's Jen. It's good talking to you, sis.
You too. Bye.
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Dan was coming in checking on me because I was pretty, the last couple of days I've been really bad. Especially last night, not getting any sleep. That's why he's checking on me. All right, here we go. Back to it.
Killed by the fire, many former residents of Centralia developed cancer as a result of long-term exposure to the poison gases. Eventually, even St. Ignatius at the top of the hill was forced.
That's the church, and there's the gravestone. Now, the gravestones go way back, and there's another section behind this that's fenced in gate yard, and they do have that. The last time we were up there, they did have a guard up there standing in the cemetery so nobody come in and vandalize it and everything because it was hit once already. So, but yeah, that's the church.
forced to close.
The final Sunday Mass was June 25th, 1995, but the final service was, quite fittingly, a funeral the following day.
Oh, that's pretty.
St. Ignatius was torn down in November 1997.
We've actually got the edge of a foundation right here. This was probably the outer wall of the church.
And with the proximity of it to the cemetery, this would probably be the altar area.
So this would have been inside the church, and then by the time you get to these large old trees, you're back.
Oh, okay,
outside,
that's just
and
not.
then
That's a
beyond that
different
would have been
church.
the priest's house, the rectory.
So yeah, it looks like with this line of trees, even in the image of.
Okay, I never knew that they had a second church. And who's at the bottom?
Paul. Do I?
Hey, Papa. Ugh.
Oh, okay. And
Hey,
then
hey.
Get up by himself.
Say what?
I brought him up.
I heard that.
What did I
I heard that. Damn it, I heard that. I
And?
heard that. Okay, let's go. I've been
right.
listening to you on the Fire Stick. Yeah, that's good
Okay.
enough house. Okay, go.
All right.
The old church and the rectory from the earlier 20th century. You can see that there was trees in between the two. And
Goddamn sorry.
at least one of these much older trees was present in that image.
So that had to be. I never knew about that church. All I knew
As the
is the
town
one
was
that's on
torn
top
down,
of the hill.
nature reclaimed the land, even to the point where some streets are completely gone.
Yeah.
This clearing here, this is the remains of Elkton Street.
Yeah, I remember Elton Street. Yeah.
Nothing left of it now.
Elkton Street is gone without a trace.
And on the corner of Elkton and Park, right here was the Russian Orthodox Church.
The name of it was Saints Peter's and Paul Russian Orthodox Church.
Oh
This
my
beautiful
gosh,
timber
I didn't even
structure
know
was
about
right
this
in the
stuff.
path
I'm
of the
glad we
underground
put it
fire and
on.
was torn down in
Damn.
1986. By 1994, the deterioration of Highway Route 61, the old Reading Road to the south of town, and the main road towards Ashland had gotten so bad that it needed to be temporarily closed for major reconstruction. An entire bypass was built around it, detouring traffic to the Burnsville Road and constructing a mile-long stretch of two-lane highway that paralleled Route 61 until it linked back up with the main road to the southwest. This temporary solution became permanent when it was determined to be impossible to fix the original stretch of 61, and the old Burnsville Road had now become the new Route 61.
Yep.
You can still see the sharp turn
Hey.
where the road detours on both ends of the
Hey.
closed section.
What up?
For almost 25
Anything?
years, the closed
A little
stretch of
something.
highway was
Oh, something. Okay.
What's up?
Hey, you want to take a hit off Mr. Pax? I'd kick it in nice, or you good? Okay, I was just wanting to say I didn't want to see y'all blue on the floor. It was worked too good. There you go. I'd love to sleep till fucking 10 o'clock again. 7:30, I'm fucking like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I hope so. I really do. Oh God, please! He's fine. You know, let him sleep. He's probably fine. He'll be good. He has to pee sometime. Pee jars only hold some.
Ew.
Yeah, I need to clean one out tonight. But after 2 days, boy, it's funky. Funky. All right, I was just checking. Just checking. Okay, you're quite welcome.
I believe this is Graffiti Road.
No, it's the wrong button.
Yeah.
Was the most iconic attraction to the ghost town of Centralia,
Oh,
becoming
this is
known as
Graffiti Road.
Graffiti Highway
And they
for
shut this
obvious
down.
reasons. All the while, cracks in the highway continued to grow. The old stretch of highway was private
my
property
shoes
and
melted.
increasingly
The bottom,
dangerous
I had to
as
get new
sinkholes
shoes.
spread.
What?
Police would chase
You-
people off, but eventually
No,
the
I'm
highway
not.
needed to
They actually, that road, the fire's still burning underneath that road.
Oh, okay. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and me and my friends went walking down. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people down there. And by the time we got done walking to the one end, back, coming back, the bottom of my shoes, you could literally see. You know how they had that, rut in the bottom? It was
Yeah.
gone. It was gone.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's
And they
yeah.
finally,
That's going to be one hell of a sinkhole one day when the thing
that's
collapses.
why they shut it. They actually have it shut down
Oh.
permanently now. They have a guard up there and everything now.
Yeah, but still, there's so many square miles of just cold.
Yeah, the one on the other side.
It's
Unless
crazy.
they got one over there. All right, let's go.
to be demolished for good to deter visitors. Well, not quite demolished it, but buried it. In 2020, dump trucks made countless trips hauling dirt onto the highway, piling it up in tall mounds until the whole stretch of Old 61 was buried under thousands of hills of
Yes.
dirt. Today, the police don't mess around. Trespass on the dirt-covered highway and you'll get a stiff fine.
Yes.
Despite Centralia becoming a ghost town, the active Route 61 is still frequently traveled, with thousands of drivers coming through the town daily. I wonder how many of them know the history of the land that they drive through. A half a mile south of Centralia's town center is the now ghost town of Burnsville. So close.
Commercials.
That's an
I hope I have
appropriate
enough
name.
on Monday.
In fact,
Burnsville.
that at the end of their days, Centralia was close
Yep.
to absorbing Burnsville.
Main Street of
Burnsville, y'all.
Burnsville used to continue on behind me for a few more miles all the way down to the town of Ashland. However, it was a steep downhill grade. So in the 1940s, that road was closed because of too many runaway cars losing their brakes going down and crashing into downtown Ashland.
Wow.
Like Centralia, Burnsville was abandoned because of the mine fire. So I guess the name of Burnsville was quite fitting. In reality,
You
though,
were just saying
it was
that.
named for the Byrne family, the first settlers of the town in 1856. It was a mining town, with houses built for the workers of the coal mines nearby. The town grew, though it never came close to the size of thousands living in evacuation was 75 people, and the
Sorry,
final
guys.
home was abandoned and torn down in 1996.
I was checking to see how much more we had.
This is an old service station.
Oh, I seen that building.
Yeah, you can see cars would come up here, and this would give access to underneath of them. This is probably quite a few feet deep.
I wonder how many
You see the
rituals are.
steps that used to go down. It was burned down when they demolished the town.
Damn.
There's a lot more trash dumped here in Burnville. Now, there's people, probably former residents, who come through Centralia every so often and clean up all of the trash. They have clean up Centralia days. But I don't think anyone thinks to clean up Burnville. The only significant structure remaining in Burnsville is the shrine to the Blessed Virgin Mary behind me along the side of the highway. It was erected in the 1950s by the Riley family, owners of a grocery store in Burnsville. It was made with primitive materials found in modest coal mining towns. For example, the two alcoves on either side are simply made of old bathtubs. But this was built as a labor of love by the Riley family, and a lot of the community donated to it.
I'll have to tell Jen to take a trip out there and take a picture of that. for
Mr.
Brody
Riley's
and,
sons, now in their 80s,
nothing's
still
out there.
maintain the shrine.
Both Centralia and Burnsville already fell victim to the coal fire. But the destruction today is not over yet.
Excuse me.
A few miles to the north of Centralia is the small town of Orestes. Now, because the vein of anthracite stretches all the way from Centralia up to the north, within a few decades, those flames underground will have reached Orestes and they'll have to evacuate. So what Centralia is now, Orestes will be.
Yep. And
the time capsule that was planted in 1966 at the town's centennial commemoration was meant to bring the community together, but instead, it became another example of the old divisions within the town. It was meant to be opened after 50 years, meaning in 2016. In 2014, some selfish tourists decided that they were going to dig it up themselves and steal it. Unfortunately, they failed, but their attempt was noticed, which prompted the town to recover it early. The residents who stayed fought against the residents who left Centralia, as well as the American Legion post, and both parties attempted to recover the time capsule for themselves. The American Legion post, working together with those who left the town, won the fight and recovered and opened the time capsule 2 years early in 2014. It was water damaged, but most items were salvageable. It contained a miner's helmet, a newspaper, and a pair of ladies' bloomers signed by the men of the town, among other things that shed light on the personality of the town in 1966.
wow, I haven't heard that in a long time.
At the time of filming this in 2022, there are 5 residents who still call Centralia home. I wanted to interview at least one of them, but this might sound silly, but I didn't want to disturb them. Tourists come through here every few minutes, snapping photos and taking footage. Honestly, not too different from what I was doing. And I didn't want them to feel like they were some spectacle. They deserve some peace and quiet. And that's scarce in Centralia, despite the lack of residents. The Centralia Fire Station still serves the nearby communities, but the only public building still in service in the town is the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary Ukrainian Catholic Church, sitting atop the hill overlooking the abandoned town site.
Wow.
It's surrounded by a handful of houses and was allowed to stay only because it didn't sit atop the burning coal veins. It still holds Sunday services.
Very few buildings still stand in Centralia. As the residents moved out, their homes were torn down by the state. Many of these rows were built as townhouses, designed so that they structurally support each other along the row. And as some of these townhouses were torn down, the structural integrity of the other townhouses in that row was compromised. This house is the last remaining house in a row of townhomes. And when the other ones were demolished,
Damn,
brick
4 or 5
buttresses needed
places
to be erected
on that
in order to
side.
support
Wow.
the exterior wall of this house, which was
actually, there's
formerly
3
an
places
interior
now.
wall.
There's only 3 residents that
Many
live
of the
up there,
streets
Paul.
of Centralia
Right.
are cracked and overgrown, with remnants of sidewalks and foundations barely exposed beneath the dirt.
I'd like the metal detect
A
that
walk through
place
Centralia is
if you
almost
could.
like a walk through a
I
large
bet you 10
wildflower
to 1
garden.
You would find a lot up there with the military.
Yeah.
Butterflies, birds, and even turkeys can be seen if you wander the streets.
Yes.
Baby. Oh, baby turkeys. Black snake. King snake,
Preservationists
actually.
have even begun planting
Black
apple
eyed
trees
Susans.
where houses once stood. As we explored the winding streets to nowhere, a faint, haunting steam whistle can be heard in the distance,
Yes.
reminiscent of when the Lehigh Valley Railroad came through Centralia, or the steam whistles for the workers in the coal mines on the hill. No, it wasn't some specter. It was just an antique train at the Pioneer Mine in the nearby town of Ashland.
Yep.
While the fire has mostly moved on from beneath the town site, and the vents drilled into the ground no longer smoke, you can still see a solid plume of white smoke escaping from cracks in the earth about 2 miles east of the town in the forests
Yeah,
along
Jen
Big
did. She has
Mine
some
Run
pictures of
Road.
it.
Ooh.
That's got
Wow.
Oh yeah. And that smell, that's definitely anthracite.
Why is anthracite coal unique, David?
The thing about anthracite coal is that it is 98% carbon. It's just 2% short of a diamond, And so it burns very cleanly, but it's not very easy to start. A lot of people who worked particularly for the Reading would have said that the reason for burning anthracite was not only its cleanliness, but its abundance throughout Pennsylvania.
You can actually feel the heat coming off of it, and you can smell all that carbon coming out.
Jen got pictures of the smoke coming up.
The story of Centralia, from its growth along the Reading Road and the tensions between the famous Molly Maguires and Pinkertons, to the small, slow-moving fire that still managed to move faster than bureaucracy, and the hundreds of people who had to abandon their homes, is a story that deserves remembering, even if the town is in the final stages of being wiped off the map. Thank you for joining me in this step back into time. My Patreon supporters have access to special features from this documentary,
Everybody, please make sure you
including an
go
exclusive
over.
story about a
I left the
trolley
link in
accident
the
in
chat.
downtown Centralia in
Give
1911.
love, like,
A special
comment.
thank you to my supporters on Patreon, especially Marlo Perez, Kaiser Wilhelm II, Trent Greger, Zach Richards, Tom Shavata, Donald Anderson,
You don't have to hear all
Cody.
that.
No,
but
this is so true.
But and hey, we just nailed it right at 201. But yeah, I mean that is one place that's gonna be history forever. Even though it's gonna get wiped off the map, it'll still be history. But now it's just got to see if the fire's ever going to burn out. If it's going to continue down through. I think Pennsylvania's kind of in a lot of trouble.
Sorry. Playing some Halo. Keep me awake. Yeah.
Tomorrow we are off. Sunday. We'll be off tomorrow. Monday we'll be back, and I think we're doing advantages up. We're going to talk about that offline.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll see everybody on Monday, and we're going to continue to try doing. We're going to pick this up again where we're showing each day a different thing, so that way we can get the channel back going and upwards where we should have been.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
all right, everybody in chat, have a good night. Thank you for participating. Replay. Please enjoy it and hit the like, subscribe, and share.
Peace.
You got anything to say? Or did my girl fall asleep on me?
No, your girl was in the kitchen getting munchies.
Mushy time. Mushy time.
You want to say goodbye to everybody?
Bye.
See you on Monday, everybody.
Peace.